It is the final sitting week of the year in Canberra and it'll be a mad scramble to the finish line with the Labor government hoping for some success on bills after having to junk some in recent days. Joining us live now from Canberra, Senator Jacqui Lambie. Jacqui, it's good to see you. So one of these bills will be housing. The government set to abandon talks with the Greens over a potential compromise. Is that the right move?
Look, I think that they've been trying to negotiate with the Greens all year over this, so the Greens are not moving. The Greens wanted it their way or the highway, and unfortunately it doesn't look like that housing bill is going to get through. So for a party that says that they're worried about people that are living in tents, that say that they represent the poorest of all Australians. This is an absolute shocker by the Greens. This housing bill needs to get through and it needs to get through this week. So if they don't get that through, well then I guess the Greens wear that. I would have thought after the Queensland election they would have gone back and had a good look at themselves, but obviously not, Pete.
So if that's the case, then the government will try and make that the top issue when it comes to the election, but would you be expecting a different result if it was sent over to the people to decide?
I think that people want housing built out there and there is nothing being done and something needs to be done and we need to get started. And if the Greens still want to continue to hold up where people are living out in the streets instead of putting a roof over their head, then I believe that will be an election issue and it's only going to get worse after Christmas, mate. I can assure you there's been no interest rate cut. We've got energy bills coming through. They'll have their credit card bills coming through after Christmas. So you've got all these quarterly bills coming up at the end of March. People are really going to be feeling it by then.
Another issue that's up for debate this week is electoral reform. How do you feel about where that's at the moment, Jacqui?
Well, the electoral reform, the only time that you see both major parties usually voting with each other is when it's in their own interests. And quite frankly, this electoral reform is in their own interest. What you won't see is all that money when you're going to dinners or going to lunches where you're eating, where it's a salmon and chip drop-off with a chicken and chip drop-off, all that money that is raised at those dinners, you won't see any of that. Nor will you see some of that money that's coming through the unions or things like the McCormick Foundation for the Liberal Party. None of that, all that dark money, you won't see that. You wouldn't have a clue. So that is a real problem. The other problem is cost of living. You're going from $3 a vote to $5 a vote. So while you guys are out there doing it tough, these guys want to feed more into themselves to win the election. I say get off your backsides, get out there and start earning your seats instead of buying them. Because quite frankly, I couldn't tell you, apart from the ministers or shadow ministers that are down in the lower house, who the rest of those people are, mate. That's where we're at.
Wouldn't it just be creating a level playing field, though?
I don't believe so because they just have not attacked this very well, especially when it comes to that dark side of the money. So that's my problem. And once again, we're in a cost of living crisis where instead of us getting $3 a vote, we're going to get $5 a vote. So when they tell you they give us stuff about the cost of living out there and they're feeding their own back pockets, we have a problem. This is not a good time to do this. And it doesn't start for another 3 years as well. So if it was a great bill, wouldn't you be getting this done? So wouldn't you be getting this done now, mate?
Okay.
That's the problem that we have here.
All right, forget this being the last sitting week of the year. Could this be the last sitting week before the election, Jacqui?
Well, I have to wonder. We're now at just after 8:30, and I don't even know what is on the red. We got this draft red to tell us what legislation they were going to bring up for the week this week, and we haven't even had it cleared this morning on exactly what is on the red that we're dealing with today. So when we had to go through and look at about 76 pieces of legislation over the weekend to make sure that we had that intact, we'll probably be lucky if we have 3 or 4 go through this week in itself, that legislation. Last week we had one, mate. We had the aged care bill. That was it. Yeah. So it would be helpful if they actually told us what was on the agenda for today. That's the chaos that the government is in today.
Was that a fun weekend for you, going through 76 pieces of legislation over the weekend?
Yeah, I'm sure it's great for my one legislative advisor down there. And even if we can't get through all the amendments because even though they have now in the drafting office put another one in there on Friday, we're not going to get stuff drafted anyway. Yeah. So it's just become, it is chaos up here. It's chaos.
We'll leave it there, Jacqui.
It's not a way to run a country, Pete.
Good to see you, though.
Thanks so much.
We'll talk to you soon.